And autosave feature, you gotta love it. Any second now. Hello there! Ladies and gentlemen, I gotta turn that down. Boys and girls, children of all ages. My name is Mr. DB333 and welcome to Suzerain. This is a game created by Torpor Games. UG All Rights Reserved. I didn't pull up the details before I started the stream, so this is actually a game recommended by one of my Discord members, a Mr. Topmak, or we like to call him Bulgarian. So he was talking about it. Honestly, it looked pretty neat. I don't fully know what we're gonna get ourselves into, but I figured it was as good a game as any to check out on Test Drive, because this is our series where we try games that we never played before and otherwise might not play, and just take them for a test drive. So, I'll show off the options real quick. I did quickly hop in because the music was pretty loud. Master music and effects. And I'm a little disappointed I didn't do much more test drive games during the summer sale, but hopefully you can keep your eye on it and see if it goes on sale anytime soon. So we're going to go ahead and start a new game. The name does sound aggressively Bulgarian in fairness. Fair enough, Kev. By the way, you are my enslavement, my freedom. You are my flesh burning like a raw summer night. You are my country. Nazim, Hickman, Ron. If you hear me talking to people, I'm not going crazy. Well, I am, but that's not why I'm talking to people. This is being recorded live on Twitch. So... 1908, Kingdom of Suzerain. You open your eyes to this world. You came from... Ooh, we get to choose. Let's do... a middle-income family in the city of Holsword. Yeah, this is live on Twitch right now. Not live on YouTube, this is a premiere. Your parents name you Anton. As the only child of a diligent civil servant, you lived a quite ordinary childhood. Life was not bad. You were lucky enough to attend a well-known public school. But frequent fights broke out at the Rain family home. These made you feel uneasy. The years passed. During your class at school, the bells started ringing unexpectedly. You hear a loud commotion outside. As everyone tried to figure out what was going on, the principal announced the historic revolution. The kingdom was no more. The Republic of Swordsland was born. You do not fully understand. After graduating, you passed the exam with high marks. You had the opportunity to choose between several studies. You chose... Let's do history at the Dare University of Culture. During the first years, you attended a lecture with David Whiskey, was a well-known diplomat from the foreign ministry and son of the president. After observing the hall in silence, he explained that realpolitik is important for a successful foreign policy. He argued a strategy based on practical material factions would be much more successful in reaching Swordsland's ambitions. You agreed in principle. What's this game about? It's basically a visual novel where you run a country, I think. Soldiers entered the campus in the evening ahead of the first election. Many were in shock as the uniformed men created a security cordon and started arresting the teachers. A group of students started gathering in protest. Along with your best friend, Peter Vector, you decided to protest with the students. When the officers made a loud announcement that echoed through the campus, General Lutheran declared martial law in order to restore the administration. Please stand back and disperse to your rooms. You joined the students that slowly marched towards a large group of soldiers. Suddenly, the soldiers charged. A student fell and was trampled as everyone started running away. You held your ground. The soldiers beat you relentlessly. It was a gloomy year. Oof. The coup split the students into two groups and caused frequent fights. Torture and imprisonment of any opposing voices became a daily routine in Deer. You didn't want to stay idle and decided to join to a student council. The council was focused on increasing the student involvement in the campus along with partaking in the budget. Through active participation, you gained budget management and leadership skills. In the meeting, Peter introduced you to one of his friends, Monica, who was a volunteer in the Swordish League of to the Swordish League of Women. You're immediately attracted to her intelligence. The politically charged environment led you to the nationalists or the socialists. Or stay away. What do we want to do? Probably stay away from any political I'm going to stay away, personally. Just to avoid anything crazy. The radio relayed that Communist General Ricard surrounded Suzerain and his troops, demanding their surrender. They refused, and heavy fighting broke out across the country. You just couldn't believe it. The army was fighting amongst themselves. Swordsmen plunged into chaos. The clashes escalated into full-blown civil war. The horrors made you isolate yourself for a while. Monica helped you cope, and love grew between the two of you. However, it was a difficult time for love. The chaos must end. The charismatic colonel, Tarkin Sol, orchestrated a sudden attack and brought an end to the war. He wrote a new constitution and restored stability. The people saw him as a savior. He formed the United Swordsmen Party and ran as a presidential candidate in the first ever elections. You voted for United Swordsmen Party. The USP won the election by a large majority. After graduation, he kept seeing Monica and noticed her interest to marry. However, a letter arrived from the military calling you to fulfill your compulsory service. It was time to serve your national duty. Duty. A devastating civil war broke out in the neighboring country of Velen. Distinguished Major Josef Lankala ordered you to lead your squad into a border patrol mission. It was a very cold winter night when you began marching out of Gunrun Outpost, so you could see your breath. After several hours of marching through the snowy hills, distant noises were heard. Visibility was too low to confirm the source. The squad crawled forth in formation and found a spot to observe. A group of refugees had made it to the border fence. You let them slip through. After the patrol, Major Lancia arrived with anger and immediately relieved you of your command, calling you a disappointment when your squad members had reported your actions. After several months of scrubbing the floors as punishment, your duties ended and you went back to civilian life. Womp womp. You and Monica decided to share your lives together after receiving the blessings of her parents. The ceremony was held in Holsword. During the same year, you worked hard to secure a high-paying job at the governing United Swordsmen Party. It was much more difficult to start your career on a good foot because of the refugee incident, but you still managed. It was the best opportunity to change the country for the better. You became the foreign policy assistant to one of the more experienced members of the assembly. You worked long and hard, staying late at work, reviewing dozens of foreign policy plans. You were climbing the ladder. We're becoming a politician, boys. The thing that we hate most. Well, not us, I guess here, perhaps. Sol strengthened the Republic by removing institutions and symbols of the former kingdom from society. Things were also looking up for the country as a massive economic boom continued, and people were the happiest we'd been in a decade. Election time came, and it was decided President Tarkin Sol was elected once more. Preparation of the most comprehensive trade agreement of Agnolia was occupying most of your personal time. But your significant contribution to the trade talks triggered an invitation to meet President Tarkin Sol himself, who offered you a key position. You were to become the youngest member of Assembly. You accepted with doubts. I've become what I sought to destroy. As a young MP, it was difficult to connect with the influential inner circle. You needed allies, so you bought Peter as your right-hand man. With spur of your son Frank proved a brief moment to join relief. You sacrificed work to spend time with your family. During your absence, Peter found trustworthy contacts and strengthened your position in the party. At the same time, President Sol increased his authority over years. His growing ego started to cause strife within the party. The cracks began to show. Damn, this dude's winning 4 elections. You gotta wonder what sort of elections these are. President Sol barely secured a majority in the election against the opposition leader. Over the past years, people have grown discontent with corruption and the worsening quality of life. Meanwhile, a call for a United Swordsman Party Congress became louder as the leadership struggle started to brew. You joined the internal opposition. Jesus Christ, 5 elections! These are like Merkel numbers. Gave your support to Ewald Alfonso, reformist and talented business magnate who was the main contender for party leadership. Meanwhile, in a desperate effort to secure votes before the Congress, President Sol was meeting party members one by one, but he didn't approach you. FDR moment, hopefully, but probably not. The party Congress was nothing short of impressive. Banners of the United Swordland were decorating every possible spot. Thousands of influential political figures, lobbyists, and benefactors gathered for this turning point. Voting for the party leadership began. You voted for Ewald Alfonso. The efforts bore fruit as the contentious leadership vote was won by Ewald Alfonso. During Congress, Sol announced his retirement from politics. He knew the structure he had established was to stay. The country had become increasingly authoritarian. You were happy that Sol was finally leaving. A month later, your daughter was born. Monica named her Diana. She motivated you during a tumultuous period in the party. The general elections were approaching. The United Swordsman Party was under the new leadership of Ewald Alfonso. You joined the party effort and campaigned for him. During the general elections, the main opposition leader was embroiled in a sex scandal with his secretary. He was replaced by the strong opposition leader, Franz Richter, but the damage had been done. The extensive privatization program proposed by Ewald Alfonso secured an election victory for the United Swordsman Party. Over the next years, you did your best in order to make Swordsland a better place. President Ewald Alfonso saw many bold reforms, but was followed by a serious economic recession. Other parties announced their bids in the free election, but the unfair system hampered all opposition efforts to win. You were worried about the economic recession. Together with Peter, you faced a new presence in the USB part. Your presence in the USB grew, and you became the face of a new wing of the party. You effectively took over leadership as President Alfonso lost control of the party. The moment to make a move had come. You advised Alfonso to step down. He didn't take your advice seriously and started to reshuffle his cabinet, but most of his inner circle abandoned him. Your diplomatic attitude made the party vote you in as the leader. Following this, you announced that you were running for president in the general election with Peter as your running mate. It was your turn. Oh, man. After visiting every city and town during the campaign, you made a speech on state television. You promised to enact democratic reform. Let's try that. The people are tired of empty promises. We need fundamental change in our institutions and government. A solid and transparent democracy awaits us, brothers and sisters. A new constitution and a new age is upon us. The broadcast ended. Hillary Clinton moment. On election day, millions went out to cast their votes. It was time to face the truth. Oh? Chapter 1, President Reign. Ooh, we get a customizer guy. Heck yeah. Well, that's already a handsome fellow right there. Ooh, I like the hat. I like the hat. This guy probably needs a beer. I'm messing with that. And we gotta give him the white suit. Accessories, we'll give him glasses. Yeah! There we go. Beautiful. Anton Reign, the 4th president of Swordland. You'll not be able to change how President Reign looks from this point forward, are you sure? I'm sure. Sunshine Rain, you've made many promises to people Swordsland in order to gain their votes. They must consider very carefully. Swordsland's economy has been placed on bland auction since its formation until the former president, Eduardo Alfonso, enacted free market reforms. Now the country finds itself between two different economic systems. Promote free market or promote planned economy? Ooh. We're in a recession. We might want to do a more centralized setup. That might help a little bit. The intensifying global rivalry between capitalist Arkazi on the west and communist United Kantara on the east is opening new diplomatic possibilities. Swordsland could ever take steps to line itself closer to one. Let's look towards the west. In the recent years, Ludish, Vesnik, and Angolian immigrants flocked to Swordsland due to relaxed immigration laws enacted by El Alfonso. As a result, tensions between Sorbs and immigrants have been increasing. Let's keep immigration relaxed for now. Looks like Nicholas E. Glass with a mustache and hat. Honestly, a little bit. Oh, we've also promised to focus on a certain extensive subject within our first term. The people expect us to solve negative situations within this topic while providing overall improvement to the related policies. Health, education, law enforcement, or military. Difference service quality between urban hospitals and worse. Life expectancy dropped significantly. Lack of schools, teachers, and even classroom equipment in certain areas caused massive gaps in previously robust education system. Increased crime is pushing law enforcement to the limits, while judges and courts still have a huge and expanding backlog of legal cases. Or the military protects the country from hostile threats, and while some see the massive financial burden, argue it's a critical deterrent. I'm torn between health and education. Let's try to focus on education. Promises will be remembered and will have consequences. Are you sure about your decisions? No, but we're going to go for it anyway. The weeks have passed since we won the election, and now is about to be sworn in the fourth president of Swordsland. Thousands were watching the inauguration ceremony and cheering my name, Anton Rain. The die was cast, and there my story began. In the distance, Maroon Palace stood on top of the famous Hill of Pride. I had no way of knowing what the future awaited me here. Oh geez, we got a codex. Wow. Branch was... I'm doing the Declaration of Kingdom. Okay. And this is really in depth. Wow. My family is son of Frank, son of Anton Rain and Monica Rain. Okay. Oh, that's a cute kid. Monica Rain said she was named after grandmother, came to 1960s, Swordsland from Mongolia. Monica Rain, First Lady of Swordsland. Degree in sociology, works as a social worker. Okay. Looked at my family. My son and daughter, Frank and Deanna, were next to Monica, my wife. Her eyes were gleaming with pride. Then I turned towards the key people who made it all possible. Of course, each individual was promised an important position in my cabinet. As my thoughts slowly faded away, the reality was dawning upon me. Orso Hawker, the Chief of Justice of the Supreme Court, was waiting for me. Establishment type of guy. Supreme Court. There's a lot of stuff to this. Holy crap. The time for the oath has come. That's really faded. I think I read that already. It has indeed. Please repeat after me. I do solemnly swear. I do solemnly swear that I will respectfully execute the office of the President of Swordsland, and to the best of my ability preserve, protect, and defend the people and the Constitution of the Republic of Swordsland. You may now deliver your inaugural speech, Mr. President. It is an honor, sir. Brothers and sisters. The crowd looked very eager to listen to me. You, the people, have chosen. Together, we will bring prosperity and reform to our nation. It's time of hope. It's time of change. In the past, there have been times of survival, times of conflict and economic hardship too, but whenever we stood together, we prevailed. I promise you. We will stop the recession and eliminate poverty. Our capacity as a nation has never been greater. Hundreds of thousands cheered. They were shouting my name in unison. I felt the responsibility, the power, and the burden all at the same time. Let's wave. I waved at the crowd, which made my crowd cheer louder. Took a long look at the people's swordland to burn this moment into my memory. When my presidential guards came by and notified me that it was time to leave, I made my way to the bleeding car and the motorcade. The presidential stage was a jet black Cadillac with flags, a swordland above the front headlights. Next to it, a man was holding the door. I like the flag too. It is a nice flag. Hello, Mr. President. Still under the effect of a speech I made, hearing my new title made me smile. If you allow me to introduce myself, I'm Sergey, your new driver. It's a pleasure. The pleasure is all but mine. He respectfully bowed his head before opening the car door and gesturing inside. I entered the car. We'll be heading towards the palace. The motorcade began to move. On the way, Sergey proceeded to explain his duties as driver. As minutes passed by, I found myself lost in thoughts again, barely paying attention to what he was saying. He suddenly made a gesture towards the now closer palace. It's a beauty, isn't it? The Maroon Palace. He was right. Sunlight glinted off the palace's many maroon-colored domes. It was so bright that I had to look away. Every time I look at it, I'm reminded of my duty of nation. It's in good hands now. I'm sure of that, Mr. President. The car drove past majestic gates, continued uphill to the entrance, and stopped in front of the doors. Sergey got out of the car and opened the door for me. Have a great day, Mr. President. Morgna Vescor. He referred to a famous storage phrase from the time of Revolution. Morgna Vescor, vector and sista, which meant morning will come, victory is close. Vector and sista. I made my way upstairs through the extravagant corridors of the palace. Marble engraved wooden finishes decorated the interior. My footsteps echoed in the colossal halls. The guards bowed their head in respect as they opened the massive doors to my new office. Okay, wow. Journal. Turn 1. Okay. Mayor Holzland reports that the high-rising population and fast urban expansions result in high levels of congestion in the city traffic. Logistics reports underlines increased traffic and slow transportation routes as the biggest problems of capital. The mayor also reports that the absence of a well-designed large land-based logistics center where all transportation come together is one of the greatest problems for domestic transporters because Holsword is a big metropolis. Transporters are scattered all over Holsword, being established such centers in 10 different districts. We've got logistics we got to worry about. General Staff convened right after the election to congratulate our victory. All branches of the armed forces were represented in the meeting that took place in Camp Strong Arm with massive security measures. The Chief of Armed Forces, Falcon Kruger, made public press statement highlighting the increasing chance of military confrontation in eastern Marokopa and requested support to strengthen the military. Okay. Let's do a briefing on the current political situation. Peter Vector arrived a couple minutes early and sat across from me. He was struggling to hold back a smile. We did it, Anton! We won! Finally, after all those years of our noses to grindstones paid off. Peter's eyes sparkled. The strain of the past months had put a damp on his usual rakish charm, but today was looking and acting more like his old self. He loosened his tie and undid the top 2 buttons of his shirt. Enjoying the new secretary I picked out for you? Thought you'd appreciate her gorgeous set of, talents. It's a shame the rest of your staff aren't as easy on the eyes. He gestured with a slight pawn to protrude over his waistband. But hey, back in university, did you ever imagine we'd be sitting here in the Maroon Palace? We have to celebrate this great victory. We'll celebrate the inaugural ball. Just hang in there until the evening. Looking forward to it. Evelyn hopes to congratulate you in person there. Good to know. It's been some time since I last saw her. I think it was Frank's birthday. We barely had enough time for our families over the past few months, haven't we? Peter had a wistful look over his eyes. He and Evelyn had never been able to have kids of their own. During our campaign, the opposition floated the rumor that he'd fathered illegitimate children during his wilder years, but it had never been substantiated. The door was swung, and Lucien Galate, who's this guy? Chief Strategist. My chief strategist walked in. He was a compact man with sharp, burr-like features. After briefly surveying the room from wall to wall, he sat down, poured a glass of water, and opened his briefcase in a series of quick, graceful movements. Gentlemen. Tall case clock in the room struck 3 o'clock. Damn, you're exactly on time. Hello, Peter. Hey, Peter. Lucien then turned towards me. He very slightly bowed his head. Lucien, how are ya? I'm ready and able, sir. Lucien spoke in soft, clipped tones that immediately drew your attention towards what he had to say. Peter and I waited for him to proceed. Let's start by evaluating our current situation. The majority of Soldier's people demand change. They are more concerned about the economy than the Constitution, but they blame the system for their problems. People are losing trust in our democracy. Why do you think radicals like Bernard Sarkozy are becoming more popular? Everyone's expecting us to bring change. The last government did not. Don't you dare do a fucking Joe Swanson. Who's this guy? Romantic communist. Franz Richter, leader of reformers, believes a true assembly can only be accomplished by demanding some of our powers of the assembly. I'll move details of their demands shortly. Okay. We need to listen to the people. They want to serve this country. That's exactly what we campaign for. True change will move the country forward. We'll need many allies against the old guard and the government. Mr. Richter managed to persuade many members of the Assembly to give their support for drafting a new constitution. Former politicians are quickly increasing in number. Who's this guy? Oh, that's a reformist guy. Okay. Well, the reformist wing inside our party is still a minority. They could have a tripartisan majority in the Assembly, especially if we unite under Franz Richter. Mr. Richter could be a potential ally in our goal to maintain a majority in the Assembly. He's definitely key in this. Reformers' demands are clear. They want to limit the presidential veto powers, ensure the Supreme Court is independent, and take away the court's right to vote on constitutional amendments. We must listen to their demands, otherwise we are no different than the previous administrations. I agree. We can't ignore the winds of change after all. The old guard will do their best to preserve the Constitution, and Supreme Chief Justice Hawker and his allied judges have great influence over the Supreme Court, which will be tough to break. The court is also have the final say over constitutional legislation. Without their approval, we cannot even change it. We need a comprehensive bill to balance the power of structure more fairly. I agree, the old guard won't like this, though. Comprehensive reform that wouldn't make the reformers happy would mean maintaining a balance between all branches of power, which means removing your absolute veto as well. Reformers demand that all loopholes in the Constitution are closed. Well, we can't underestimate the situation. We can figure it out. Our party still holds 130 of the 250 seats in the Assembly. We've got the power. To reform the Constitution, we must receive a 2/3 majority in the Grand National Assembly, which is 166 votes. And a simple majority in the Grand Supreme Court that equates to 6. Jesus, we got a lot ahead of us. After we've settled how to proceed, we'll need to talk with our party figures. Our first goal, once we get the 150 signatures, we need to start the process. From Greenlight USB, we'll reach out to other party leaders, see if it would work, back our draft. The last step is to convince the justices of the court. The entire process will take a long time, but we must start working with a reform committee to evaluate all possibilities for a new constitution as soon as possible. We'll write a more democratic constitution with reformists. We're preparing for eternally. Don't forget that promise is what gets us elected. Key thing here will be strengthening the power of the Assembly, which we already lead with a majority, being an agreement. I feel like I might like this game. It's on sale right now for $7.50, I think. So you can check it out still. Yes, the division's power need to be balanced for a better sword win. Our initial draft we made with reformists, there are 2 changes to the Constitution that are not open for their discussion. What do we got? First, the Supreme Court will no longer vote on constitutional amendments. Second, the presidential's absolute veto will be taken away. This can be replaced with a limited veto system by fixing current loopholes. Well, no problem with that. Let's work with reformists. Yes, sir. We'll form a reform committee together for all parties and start reaching out to the stakeholders in the Assembly and Court for a new constitution. By later in the year, we should have an idea of reform contents and what the other parties want. Another important note, we must be aware of the Lotharberg group. Okay. We got our Jeff Bezos over here, it looks like. Our Kochs. Our, whatever billionaire you like to point to. Must be aware of the Lotharberg group, the oligarch convener of this organization, to influence economic policies. Conrath led it for a long time before falling ill. The new leader is Walter Tusk. According to the reports, some members of the National Business Council are all in their pockets. Tusk and the group will surely try to bribe us in exchange for special economic protections. I'll enter a dialogue with him eventually. We need to be diplomatic. Wise approach. It's good to understand and see if we can reach a middle ground. As far as I know, who's this guy? We have a lot of guys. Jesus. As far as I know, Marcel Coronti has some strong ties with his group. His influence could definitely be an asset for us, but I'm sure he wants something in return. There you go, Kev. Depending on our economic policies, they can't move a finger without us. I wouldn't be so optimistic. The capital you represent could do a lot of damage if it was diverted. We need to tread carefully on all sides. All power plays to survive our term. We need to underline the seriousness of the situation. Military and the general staff are a powerful element of the state, and as history tells us, a dangerous one too. We have some room to make structural changes by reducing their budget, for example, but it is quite limited. Well, if a Runeberg threat on our horizon, we can't reduce our defensive capability and anger our general staff. I would advise the same. The budget should be maintained, and we should refrain from confronting the military too directly. Defense Minister Lancey is more loyal to us compared to General Kruger, a fact that obviously can be changed with our actions. Either way, I see a potential rift between the two since they are clearly of different minds. I'll see if my computer can run it. I might imagine it. I don't think it doesn't seem too intensive. It is low-key a visual novel so far. We act strongly against the military. Both of these guys will not against us. I agree with Lucian. We need to tread carefully here. Lucian looked at his watch. Well then, gentlemen, precisely 30 minutes. This concludes our political briefing for today. Our next meeting will be about our media strategy. Talk to you soon. I'll keep in touch. See you both in the next morning. Lucian and Peter bid their farewells and left. A mysterious amount of smoke was rising far away in the horizon. We got a lot of stuff. Okay, so public opinion. Let's see. 55% of the population supports our ideas. Fire broke out in the academic administration building of Horston State University. Initial... Uh-oh. That's not nice. SMG Jackson's only 1.4 gigabytes. Shouldn't be too crazy. Let's do an economic briefing. A lot of meetings, a lot of reading. Simon August Manger and Lilius Graff were about to arrive in the White House for our scheduled economy meeting. This was the room in the Maroon Palace where all important meetings were held. Two citizens arrived. First, carrying every projector, they stood with it by the door, waiting for the minister to enter. On the way, I heard Graff's voice. She was speaking with a patient, almost motherly tone. She often took in heat arguments. Gus, do you really think that such an economically advanced area is more in need of our investment than Aglan? Liz, my interior minister, strode in. He was clad in shades of brown and beige. The only spot of color is a bright yellow Newer star on her necklace. Gus followed, close behind. Don't be an idiot, Lilius. What about the unemployment crisis the greater Holsword and Gelson region are going through? These areas are our economic heartland. Gus curled his hands into fists. Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development to temper hadn't changed in his days in the Alfonso administration, but neither had his reputation for getting things done. His far-reaching network connections was unlike any other. Hull quickly stepped in between the two ministers without looking at either. He cleared his throat. Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, everyone. How are you? I'm very well and motivated, Mr. Rain. It seems our ministers are feeling the same. I can clearly see that. What was that discussion about? We're having a discussion about the infrastructure plans. If I may, I would like to talk to you about the... We will get there, Gus. No rush. First, I'd like to conduct my economy presentation. Well, let's begin. I'm looking forward to this. Produced a silk handkerchief out of his pocket and briefly wiped his glasses. My staff and I have comprehensively analyzed every aspect of... He was interrupted by a groan from one of the assistants by the door, both of whom were now visibly struggling to hold up the heavy projector. Oh, you can put that there. Pointing next to below the painting President's soul, the assistant placed projector next to the table and installed a white screen on the wall. Leave now. Thank you, and please leave now. Since left the cabinet room, it was reminded that Simon never quite had a way with people, but his facility with numbers made him the most sought-after economic specialist in Swordland. Started looking for his slides, always carried documentation around with him. Liz leaned up to the table and spoke. Simon, what happened to the new police station construction in Estord? That's our oil city looks like. While going through his briefcase, he paused for a moment to answer. It got stalled due to a government property boundary issue. I've been meaning to look at it. I can take a look at that one. Estor needs all the security help we can get. Sure, more time for me to spend on analyses. His eyes glittered when he finally found the slides he was looking for. There have been some development about the Suzerain losing further value today. We've been trying to stabilize it with a central bank. Session 51 put enormous pressure on our economy, resulting in the collapse of the value of our currency. The entire situation was a significant cause of our concern for our administration. What would you like to know about the current economic situation? GDP and debt situation. GDP is 310 billion Swedish krona, and the national debt is 427 billion. Oof. Still a lot to fathom that we lost nearly 150 billion in wealth. The past 3 years have been rough. Economic inflation rate. Update, can't run it. It's mission 1 minimum requirement. Dang it, that sucks. Unemployment inflation rate, then. Unemployment rate skyrocketing is now at a staggering 16%. Inflation is at a relative high of 7%. Unemployment is increasing in crime and drug use. We need to get people off the streets. Inflation isn't helping our average citizen either. Status of recession. The economy has been dropping in recession about 6% the past year. The average GDP has dropped from 15,000 per capita to 10,000 from 51 to now. Administration's success depends on our ability to stop the recession. The sooner we can reach GDP growth, the better. Let's move on to economic strategy then. As you can see, the situation is alarming, but not everything is negative. Extensive privatization program and falls on left us a large budget surplus which we can use to stabilize the crisis. Primary subject we need to settle on is the general path we will take in our term. Solonomics-based nationalization happened in the 30s, and Alfonso privatization began during the end of the 40s. What will administration focus on? One of the main promises was promote a planned economy to stop the recession. To be frank, I still don't think this was a good idea. We shouldn't go back to Solonomics. It's the reason of recession. Self-sufficiency will help us in tough times. What are the downsides of the planned economy? It's clear that most of the state corporations and other government control systems are less efficient. The government of Switzerland is institutions of corporations have a solid history of delivering. Structural problems of Solonomics are going to lead to recession according to the predictions of the time anyway. Either way, even if we pick one of the doctrines, we contain the option to make economic choices on a case-by-case basis. That is, however, not recommended in my point of view. The last thing we need is a chaotic economic plan. Finally, something we can both agree on, Lilius. There's another important point, which has a direct impact on our economy: superpowers. We might have won the election, but I'm still aligning ourselves with any superpowers. Against aligning ourselves with any superpowers. Economically speaking, we're much better closer to Abkhazia than United Kontana, so the position of the line to the west makes more sense. We must be very cautious. There are schemes being deviated about Switzerland. We're not given to their wants, now or in the future. Otherwise, the country will turn into a pawn. Why don't you reconsider your promise to land of Abkhazia? Well, internet experiment will help boost our economy in many ways. They are wealthy and influential. Exactly. I like to think it's a very valuable partnership. If it deals, we will get it by aligning ourselves with a strong country like Abkhazia. Recession will surely end in no time. Return for what? Switzerland's independence. When time comes, I hope we make the right decision. For our own good. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Minister Wiskley will be in charge of informing on the types of foreign policy decisions. We must first decide on an internal plan. Would a planned economy focus bring us stronger allies? Make United Kontana diplomatically look at our country in a more positive light. There are proponents of a planned economy. Abkhazia has a world economy that's extensive. Our economic strategy should be based on eternal reasoning, though. Well, let's thank Solon's planned economy for the boom. It shows the success of a system. Precisely the reason we should stick to the old system. State planning and regulation showed showed great success in the 30s. Slow down during his rule, remember. What's our long-term economic schedule? Picking on construction company, trade relations, tax, foreign welfare, privatization, or nationalization initiatives would be some of them. Let's choose wisely and remember that free market economy in all forms of the future of the world. I wouldn't be so sure. Let's move on. Your final thoughts then? Well, I think we selected planned economy. Let's keep critical institutions and state control. General economic plan. Promote it. Not sure if we made the right decision here. Now there's a clarity which direction we're going. We'll work on a good plan accordingly. Concludes our meeting, and the next plan we'll talk about the upcoming infrastructure investment plan. We got a lot of stuff. Oh shoot, we can go all over the place, can't we? Prime Minister Van Horn congratulated us on our election and praised our party's stance on just and transparent elections. He signals wishes to continue a trade partnership between our countries' equal partners, as opposed to earlier trade deals which he believes gave Switzerland unfair advantages. Chancellor Hegel says congratulations on your great victory and wish for close cooperation between our countries in the future. Sessions from Vexland case promising a trade deal. Also congratulate the social democracy, successful elections, and warn us about the threat Arcasia's growing influence poses for Eastern Mokopa. Okay. What's up? Let's zoom out from there. Prime Minister Alvarez congratulated us. Wish people, warning us of commies. Okay. Bergia is one of those regions, Sortland, where the homeless skyrocketed. Okay, there's a lot going on here, I gotta say. Sarna has agricultural growth. Okay, so these... The colored in ones are all our states, I believe. We got President Smolak. Okay. Oh, look, you just launched up the game. Nice. Oh, there's a lot to this game. Jesus. I have no idea how I'm going to, I'm probably going to do a test game. I don't know if, probably play around a little bit with this off camera. I might do a YouTube series on this, honestly. This seems really cool. But, I think for now, I will, I'll end it on the YouTube front, at least. So, thanks for watching, all the YouTube people. If you want this game, you can check it out on Steam. It's on sale right now for $7. You can usually get it for 15. Or your regional equivalent of money. Very interesting game, I gotta say. I've barely gotten into any of it, but I'm already pretty compelled. I might come back into this and give it a check soon enough. So, but yeah, Kev says it's cool as shit, so you have the recommendation from him. And so, I think I'm going to leave it there. So, check out links in the description below to buy the game or check out all my various links, Discords, all that stuff. Thanks as always for watching. My name has been Mr. DB333, and I'll see you next time for Test Drive. Bye-bye.